These superficial muscles of the lower leg, they're actually pretty easy to identify because they all line up pretty much posterior to anterior. The gastrocnemius is your calf muscle, and it has two heads to it. And this big long tendon that connects them to the heel is our Achilles tendon. Deep to the gastrocnemius is the soleus, which is a very thin muscle that almost acts like a backing for the gastrocnemius. Notice how we're moving from the back to the front on this picture. The next more anterior muscle is the fibularis longus, which has a tendon that attaches to the fifth digit on the foot. The extensor digitorum, that's a name that we've seen before on the hand. And it's the same thing here. This muscle extends into all of the digits of the foot and acts to extend the foot. The most anterior muscle on the lower leg is the tibialis anterior. And this muscle is involved in shin splints, where the fibrous connection to the tibia or the shin is compromised. The gluteus medius peeks out from underneath the gluteus maximus and it's attached to the top of the hip bone. The gluteus maximus is attached to both the hip and the sacrum, as you can see in this picture. The gluteus maximus, look out, it sweeps laterally and then collects into this thing called the iliotibial tract, or what is commonly called the IT band. Think of how this tendon here connects the hip and the sacrum to the tibia. It's a really far stretch. So pulling or straining this muscle, this tract, can be awful. These muscles are very difficult to identify, and they're usually drawn really differently in different pictures. So we even have two different models in the lab, different manufacturers, and they show these muscles very differently too. I think of this as two muscles. So you have to think of this as lateral and medial. The biceps femoris is the lateral segment, and it lies under like the IT band there. Its name femoris obviously comes from the upper leg bone, and biceps seems strange because we are usually familiar with the biceps brachii of the arm, which is on the anterior side. But this biceps femoris, it does the same thing in terms of flexion of the knee. If you're standing and you bend your leg at the knee, lifting the foot up off the floor to the back, you're flexing the knee just like you flex the elbow. The semitendinosus and the semimembranosus are the tough parts to recognize. So separating the biceps femoris as the lateral muscle on the posterior leg, that helps me to just struggle with these other two. And the semimembranosus has two heads that can be seen on the superficial face of the posterior leg. And these two heads, they go in opposite directions. And then look, the semitendinosus runs between them. The sartorius is a strap-like muscle that extends obliquely or diagonally over the leg from hip to knee. Sartor means tailor, like someone who sews clothing. And tailors usually sit cross-legged on the floor to do hems of pants and dresses. And this muscle, the sartorius, it's used to sit cross-legged on the floor. If you're sitting in a chair, the sartorius allows you to lift your leg up and over to cross your legs. The rectus femoris is a really large muscle running down the anterior face of the thigh, and it's named for its position over the femur, but also for its straight orientation, giving it the rectus name. The rectus femoris is connected to the patella here by the quadriceps tendon, which is usually cut in pictures of the knee. The vastus lateralis and the vastus medialis are, wait, let me think about it, they're lateral and medial to the rectus femoris.